is Jessica Holyfield. I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States. And we're taking a look at Hoshi's Spider. It is a choreography video. I've had a lot of people been asking me to react to this, and I'm very excited. I am here taking a look at it. I have not heard the song, nor have I seen it. I've only seen the very beginning of it because of the iconicness, or it's been showing up in multiple excerpts of other things that I've watched. So I haven't watched the entire thing, so I'm very much looking forward to it. Let's go ahead and have a watch. A lot of abs, a lot of core for that. If he sings this live, I'll be very impressed, which is probably the case. Love that. Yes. Oh, we got some ladies in this one. Love this. Yeah. So what's really nice is they're allowing the dancers to really help enhance what he's doing, because it would look so different if it was just him. Love that. I love that. That was cool. First time he's broken away from those. I bet this looks really cool live with the camera. Like this is just cool. It's more meant for camera. Yeah. And it hits different that time because he was isolated more in the center, but now he's able to go more full here because he's not in the piping as much anymore, but the other girls are. So you notice how more subdued their movement has to be. They can't travel as much. But I love the color coding that they've done here too with the white and the black. They really took it as more of a dance concept than a choreography video. It's really what it feels like. I love it. With the add-ons happening here. Yeah. For me, I would definitely want to be somebody that just holds on to the pole for 2-8 counts. That would be really nice. Talk about a break. That'd be awesome. Pull a fetal position on the pole. Say less. Love that. And then they keep moving. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And then we have Spider, and I think it's interesting that he chose the girls to do the spider position. It looks like a web because I don't know the intention of the song, but it probably may have something to do with the imagery of a spider being caught in a web and control and things like that. And a lot of times you use that type of, not this type of imagery, but like you use those types of analogies, I guess, to help propel that. So I will say I really liked that. It definitely, I'll say it met my expectations of what to expect, but I think it was definitely more refined, and I think that it's I'm very much looking forward to taking a look at this. I'm sorry that I didn't look as surprised. It's because I already knew that something this beginning, I've already seen this beginning. So I think that's why the shock value of somebody actually using this prop, but it doesn't discredit the impressiveness at all. I think this is wonderful. I don't think I could probably do a dance cover of the course, but I don't own something like this. I don't own a jungle gym prop like this to be able to safely do this beginning. So I bet the dance covers were pretty wild on this if they're able to go for it. More power to them. I'm going to respectfully just analyze and do the course if Patreon votes me to do the course. So I love this here. He's very intentional with the fingers as he touches that top down to the side and then all the way down, and then he's going to grab one more and then allow his body to head, and then he swings. Ooh, and that's in control. So he's not just letting his body swing. He's using the control, using the core, isolating and using more of his ribs to help carry that, to keep looseness in the arms. Because if he uses shoulders, then his torso would be more isolated. So I think it's a really great choice that he chose to go about it by using the rib cage versus the shoulders to help pull those arms from side to side. I think that was really fun. From here, he grabs his hips. And then he grabs and then he twinkles in. So it's really nice. He creates that very, you're going to be seeing, the reason why we have a lot of this is a lot of times with waving, I've noticed, or sometimes in popping technique, but I will just speak on waving. This is called spider fingers is what I've heard this be called. And I learned that. I saw Dokhyun do this very, very well. If you don't know who that is, wonderful popper, and I've been seeing it on a couple of other stuff, not with 17, but just in other things I've reacted to. So I respect Dokhyun and his innovation with some of these techniques, or his refinement of these techniques. So you're going to see a lot of these fingers throughout, obviously because of the imagery of it looks like legs, like spider legs, so that's why you have these happening a little bit more. But it makes sense. He goes da-da-da boom, and he pulls himself up here. He pulls do-do-do, and then he crosses over and flips over. Love that. Nice crash there. Do I think that he's actually singing there? I will be shocked if he does. But if he does, more power to him. This is his job, right? For me, my job, I kind of already mentioned a lot of that, but this is his job. So if he's able to do it, very impressive, but it does take a long time, but he's been doing this for a long time. You can also tell too, this is probably one of the first instances where they have officially transitioned over to Hybe because of the rehearsal space. I'm very familiar with this rehearsal space. So that's what my brain is telling me that we've started transitioning over. There's a chance that it may have been before this, but this is the first dance concept that we're seeing here in affiliation with Hybe. I love this here. He pulls forward, the intensity, having them pull in. Really great way for them to grab him without causing pain in any way. He's the one who stops himself, and I love that the dancers are able to be properly placed where he doesn't have to rely upon them 100%, but they really help make it easier for him. So that was really cool how he twists and turns. So you notice even right there when he turns and he stops, they are there as a form of stability and not there to actually stop him, and I really like that. So he comes up. That was a really nice aid there too. He could do that. It would be really difficult on the type of prop it is, but he's holding some of his weight. He's also leveraging right there on his own, having more of the twinkling of the fingers to help create that texture all the way through. He comes up and he drops, turn, down. Now they come up, pushed him back, but he's the one in control, having two more come in. But notice the black and the white. I think it's very tasteful that even on a choreographic sense, we have our black and our white distinguished, makes it symmetrical, makes it very helpful for this, and he's the only one in gray. I love this. Grab, grab, and they fold over so you can still see Hoshi have his moment. Then they peel it back up, drape the other way. They have to really use their core to stay nice and still. And then they're crossing over with the feet, threading it back out. I would say my dancer right here in the white, my one note for him is he didn't quite move it in like my guy in the black. He just kind of brought it up and brought it back. He didn't swivel it like we saw with our guy in black. So that's just my one note there. Bringing it through. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So it's even how they're not just grab, grab, grab. It's a grab, 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 grab. Just like a spider whenever they walk. All of those details matter, and that's what helps carry it. He, sometimes whenever he needs a breather, even here, look, with the fingers, the crawl, he pulls it out to the side. It is a more intense feeling, but it helps frame what is happening here is more of like a puppeting of what's happening. Not puppeting the technique, puppeting the concept of them tracing each other to grab, which is really nice. And that pull through, he goes through, threads his hands in, and he flips his head up. Everybody flips their head up. Love that. Melt down. And then having the girls come in from the back. I think this is the first time I've seen women on a 17 track. Period. At least, I mean, maybe in music videos, but in the dance practices, I've never seen them, obviously, because it's 17, or whenever it's soloists or their performance team, the only time I've seen women are as extras. I've never seen them as actual backup dancers. So that's very nice, and it's a very tasteful way how they're integrated while carrying on the story. I love that. Throws it, they're here, they're up the top, they bring it around to the other side. It looks like they couldn't fully get rid of the sticker off of that when they bought it. Bless it. So now having your women frame it out, turn it around to the side. Those are not super reliable. You notice that? Like they can hold weight, but they can't you can't be doing a ton of stuff on them. So because you can see they're not like 100% super stable, but they are enough to hold his weight very well, you know? So that's something to think about too. Notice here, very tasteful in how they chose to do the black and the white. He drops down. That right there. Boom, boom. Keeping this as a fixed point. Draping on the side. Well, not really. I don't want to say this is a fixed point because you're not having to showcase it as a fixed point, but it is fixed in place. Everything else, and he's kind of tracing up the body, bleeding it up when it's ready. Yeah, da-da-da-da. But notice here that all of their dancers, they have to factor in, like with those who are close to these bars, they can't go as full out. Just like for him, he is riding up on that rail. So he has to be mindful too, because you can twist your ankle in a hot second. If you step, if you trip, you can trip so easily when you have a prop like this involved. I love the use of the prop though. It's super cool. They use it as a great frame. I think just the spacing is super tasteful as well. They got the height right. They pull it over. Nice hinge. So it kind of has that seductive textures that we've seen from a couple other reactions that we've already reacted to. But it is really nice to see that he pulls it up. Really get to showcase him. I know he's the captain of the performance team, or the dance side at least, right? With the body roll, with the stability, really nice to do that. It is difficult to hold in stability while trying to do a legato groove. That was nice. Draping it around. Da-da. Boom. Boom. Very placed. Careful, strategic, just like spiders. They're careful where they go. Some of them are not. Like when they're hanging out in your bathroom and you're taking a shower, that is not careful thinking for spiders. But I'm saying here in this case, it's definitely like placing. There's always intentionality behind where they step. I love that. They're draping and then having your guys on the outside. So I feel like we now have more backup dancers in play here. Like it's slowly building and escalating, which I really like. It drops it down. Very nice there. I think it's great. Spacing is important. Also notice the scuff right here. So he is sliding his foot as he comes up. I love that there. Do. Be mindful of his travel. They have to be mindful of their travel because they have way more space than he does. He can't travel up too far because of the prop. So I think it's really nice that he had to take those steps to make sure he crosses over into the next one. And then having everybody there, they can't overshoot their travel. So now that we have 3 on both sides, I think it was smart that my guy over here who had the white shirt, he has a black jacket over it. So at least we can see him signifying the black side when needed. Or there's a chance that he has to represent both colors at some point. So that's why he has that to easily take off if necessary. Now from here, the energy is built up a little bit different, a little bit more intense. Could be a wordplay thing of why the girls are no longer in frame or why they were in frame. I'm going to chalk it up to that. Very intense here, a lot different, a little bit more of a masculine pocket that we're seeing explored here. Boom, boom, with the groove, do. They're using that back and they're using that double step of the feet in order to get that groove nice and spicy. Love it. The bleed, boom, boom. Draping it through, really nice. I do think that my backups, I'd say over here on this side, it's not as refined on a choreographic sense. I would say though, out of all the solo comebacks, I've only seen a couple, or I've seen like whatever, it's not all of your members represented. This is one of the cleaner ones that I've seen from our backups. Because remember, 17 is kind of that industry standard for cleanliness, because I know their use as an example sometimes for people. That's what you guys have told me, and I can totally see it, and I would do the same. Like I would use them as a prime example of synchronicity on some of the tracks that I've seen already reacted to. But with backup dancers, a lot of times they are cross-referenced in multiple pockets of artists. So some of these guys, depending on what agency they're with, if they're within Hybe as like this is Hybe's pool of dancers, or if they're just with a studio or with a group and then they get contracted out, they are doing a lot of jobs. a lot of the time. So sometimes this may not be the only job that they're working on, so they can't work on a comeback the way that Hoshi can work on a comeback, right? Because this is his track. Compared to the backup dancers, they may have an X amount of time. He may only have an X amount of time to work with them. I would say Jungkook's a great example of that too. He was able to have a small pool of his dancers travel with him for like 5 months recently. At the time that this is being made, this is during like Jungkook's been doing the golden thing whenever I had this, but this is probably not going to be out in the world for a while because it'll stay on Patreon. But anyway, my point here is, though, I really like the fact that there's a really big refinement here. At least the choreography sets everybody up for success. That would be my main point in all of this. But I really like this with the grooves here. Boom and dip right there into a butterfly. I love it. Butterflies get stuck in webs. I love that they chose to double that up. Dip and bum, da, 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 but it's different than the first one. They hit the first one and then they did this little progression twice. And I love that. Transition it out. Now we have our two guys. Now we're here. We cut. This doesn't bother me because I would consider this more a dance concept than a like dance practice. Even though there is a whole music video, I'm assuming, for this. I wanted to watch this because I know I'd actually be able to see all the choreo instead of the music video. But this is still freaking cool to see. Love the visual. Right there, boom, 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 and he drapes it over, ding, ding, ding. Then he's being kind of threaded through, grabs on the clap, grabs somebody's hands, pulls, drops down, really fun, having somebody there ready to go, grabbing, still climbing up like a spider, still having the ladies over here, they're framing over like they are in a web, and they come back up. Now it's their turn, and it's really important how they swing around, and they have to be very mindful where they're placing because he has to still be able to move, right? And so when you notice, it looks like they are providing resistance, but notice that this pathway is clear, and that's going to help make sure that he's able to go where he needs to go without kicking someone accidentally in the face. Do you know what I'm saying? But like, look right there. She's at the highest risk right now of getting a knee to the face. But he's very mindful, though, of where everyone's hands are placed. Like she has hers on one side. I don't even know if she's touching his hip over here, but she's touching his upper thigh right there. And that helps him know there's somebody right there, and her face is literally right here. So I would say she's at the highest risk right now of getting hit. We'll see though. I don't think she does get hit. So look, they hit and that push happens over. She's able to move out of the way, and then they're all able to match energy. He is cutting it really close on banging his knee onto this pole. So if you notice, I'm talking more about the safety of the logistics of this formations than I am about anything else. But it just shows how impressive it is, how seamless these transitions are. And when I initially watched it, I wasn't concerned about those things at all. I think just because I'm analyzing it, these are just some things to touch on because I feel like we talk about the content a lot, but a lot of times the logistics and the impressiveness of navigating through a prop like this, the way that they chose to do is very impressive. Just like with the clock with 24 hours, like just the knowing where you need to put your featured people in a formations like that to ensure that they're in the right place when it's time to be featured. That's the impressive thing about a lot of this. I love this too, where he drops and then he turns and they're there still in that intense situation. That look, it's really great imagery, and he goes and he escapes. He runs out to the side, they all walk out, and then you have your guys pull up on the sound. You still have your girls that are about to be featured and pop out on the side. So that's really fun. That's really nice. So the guys are still framing around the back, still having your girls. But look, they have so much more freedom of movement as they're executing all of this here. And they pull through 1, 2, 3, 4. Really like that. The tension here. I'm going to take a shot in the dark here. It's could be partially her hair, but she's wearing a mask. She reminds me of Reddy from 1 Mil from Street Woman Fighter Season 2. So y'all let me know. Am I right? Is that her? I don't know. If not, that's totally fine. Her movement quality reminds me of that too, because I specifically remember Reddy doing the rookie dance rank mission, and I talked about her a lot on her movement quality. So she gives off that essence as well of how she hits some of these grooves, reminds me of her. So let me know if I'm right. If I'm wrong, that's okay. She dances great anyway. Love that, popping up the energy. They move, and now they've run away, and now we have our guys here. Now we have operating with a group of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so now we have 7, 3 for each color, and then your feature. Love that. I love that. D. Really affects where their head goes. Love that. Melting it down. Draping around, really great lifts, how he's using his elbow to help make sure he gets all the way across. That's different than a back. Normally you see people do this over a back. Really cool to see it over an elbow. It's a little subtly different. And then you have some of them kind of controlling on the top part to make it look like they're controlling him coming over, which I really love. That was really super cool. He drops down, they drag him right. Notice that's his right leg and his left arm. So there's some opposition, some crossover of the foot. Really nice, and that helps be able to get him to transition and come up. So that's really important on Hoshi's part to be able to make sure the right leg is grabbed. Same with the dancer. So when he can come up, that's seamless. Because it's a lot harder when you have the same arm and same leg to pull yourself. But if you're pulling here, your core's already engaged, and you can use this foot as leverage to easily come up. So I think that was a really cool choice. Come up and they're grabbing him. Now there's tension here where they go and they pull, and then he just has to roll his shoulders back and down. And look at the intensity of his eyes. Where he looks matters here too, right? Because you have somebody that's approaching and coming up. He's not looking at them. If he was looking at them, then we would naturally want to look here. But because he's looking at us, we're thinking about the full picture, which is super cool. Right there, they go, and then we see him when it's time for us to see him. He goes here, and then he goes right here to be affected by exactly what this dancer is doing. And I absolutely love that, having everybody drape down a little bit lower in the level so we can really showcase that moment because it's higher on our register as an accent. Everybody drips down, and now he's stuck in the middle. Ding, 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 ding. Really nice seeing that accent in the pull, coming up. Boom here, and then do. We've seen that kind of group before. I feel like I've seen that in one of their other groups. It escapes me right now what specifically it was, but that does look familiar. I would call that a fingerprint. I love that. Ding, ding, boom, boom. Really fun. With the head, roll over, then we're draping it through. So that's a little different. We do see the hand complement the knees, but it's different than the first one we saw with that trace buildup. But it still has fingerprint of resonance between the two, which is really enjoyable to see. So, and I love that they broke it down. Boom, boom. Energy, they're still going. That's a great transition out. Following Hoshi back. And he goes, da-da-da-da-da, building it up nice and big. But I want to make this note here important that they don't go too big, especially Hoshi, because, I mean, he can technically, but I'm saying they ought to make sure their spacing is proper because these two girls cannot go anywhere outside of where they are. They're in the same boat that Hoshi was earlier, and they have the range of what that bar is giving them. So I think that's a really important thing to note here. Really big energy, so notice they're here. They have to be mindful. They both have to make sure they are crossing over that bar at the same time. Yeah, so that was really smart. He's the only one who technically didn't travel that, which is why we're hiding some of our dancer, like a dancer now. But he gets it caught up, he gets it fixed. Love it. So now they're doing this portion of the choreo that we originally saw the guys do. Now we see the girls do, which I really like. So it's kind of a reversal in a sense of what we're used to. Boom, boom with the marches. Love it. Great transition over, and then the hops. I love that there. Boom, boom, dun, 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 dun. Get out. Yeah, over, down with a little bit of a butterfly like what we saw earlier. But having them do it in that formation, it reads differently. And that's what really helps with your camerography, where your formation is set up. That can really enhance what you've already showcased to your audience. It makes it recaptivating and easier to digest. Or you feel like it's a variant because the dynamics, either the people are switched out, the formation is different, they may be dancing more full because they don't have the restriction of the prop, things like that. But that's super fun. This right here, we haven't turned around. Now we're cut back to here. And I love this because you have people start adding on. They come here, coming around the back. Yeah, boom, like a little add-on, which I love. Marching into the pole, like in the pole frame. And then having their girls, I would say my favorite position is this one because she doesn't have to stand and hold or balance or nothing. They said fetal position. She said say less. That would be me. I would want to do that one out of all of them. I would say the other ones are fun. Like they were fine and I like the variety, but that one's my personal favorite, holding pole position. I like how the guys are molding front. It was very militant how they came in, and I love how you see him kind of react, and you can see those two guys react out of it, and you can't see the rest of your guys. But then you see them all peel out, so it's really full, and then it's important how these girls are framing. Oh, I changed my mind. I want hers. Laurie still has that accent midline right here, but she is on her bottom. So there's no squatting required. She is just sitting with her hands up. That's my favorite. I changed my mind. But that was really fun. I love that. Hers with the back arch, that was a really fun, refined way to frame that, where you have somebody in the mid and somebody covering overarching. That was really fun. And then having the guys branch out was really cool. Having everybody here involved. They have to be, the girls have to be very careful how they come up. They can't do too much. They can't be too extroverted because they actually have more hair. So that's going to be an extra texture involved. Hoshi, I love the fact that it froze like that. But the guys, they all have hats on. So I think it's interesting. You know, here, they all get to do their dance break. I really love this. I need to go back because I was talking about the formations more than the content. I love this boom, boom. They do a good job hitting that little crash there. Super fun. Dive, doon, doon, and drop. Really fun. With the chest, body roll. Eye contact matters there. He grabs it and he goes and he gets restricted there. I love this a lot. This is super dope. I love it that everybody's here and then they slowly take the choreo. Yeah, with a 3-step turn. Here we go. So they had to modify the choreography. We do see nuances of it here, but it is different because they have to transition it over because part of the aesthetic of it is going to be, notice 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 2 of them that are operating. This guy's going to have to book it around because you have somebody else on this side getting ready to set up right here. And that's going to help keep the line going. And that's what makes it feel like an ever-ending cycle. And I love that. And also the cameraman can't be too far back because these guys have to have enough room to run around. So it was really nice to see this choreo with the framing and then bringing it around helps tie in the type of prop they have. Look, and they pull. So he had to be there before they started moving in order to make it nice and seamless. And they pull through. Whoa. See, sometimes YouTube does that when I'm recording. Bless it. Hey, they turn. Boom, and the pull. I love that. Part of me wishes for this part they actually grabbed the pole and were able to pull through, but also I don't think that matters at this point. I love this here too, there, because they grab it right there. So I think that's absolutely fine. Because I retract what I said earlier because grabbing it, pulling it through, well, honestly, I think it still would be fine. It would just be a different logistic you'd have to navigate through. But I love this here, like boom. So instead of having the arms out, they had them on the pole. So I think that was a really nice way to utilize that in a fun way. And he's still there. He falls down and he's nice and finished. The girls are now into a web. And what makes it really cool is that you have him here, but then look, the shape of it is like your Charlotte's Web, if you ever read that book, how the web is made, and that really is what they're circular. So you have more of that kind of clockwork. It just feels like a web. That's a really ugly web on my end, but it looks really cool when they do it. So all in all, this is a freaking great track. I love the use of the prop. I think I'm mostly impressed by how they chose to set up this video more so than him using the prop, because it wasn't a shock to me how proficient he was at using it because of his discipline. I'm honestly more shocked at how the backup dancers are able to maintain the refinement of what was necessary for a track like this because of how 17 has equipped the standard of how they come across in all of their tracks, whether it's them as soloists, them as a performance unit, or them as a whole group. So I'm very impressed with the whole package of it, and I think it was a really nice, I think the timing is very good. You know, in the hive space, this really hits a little bit more crisp because of the black background, so they're able to come across with these types of concepts, I think, more refined. But we did see them kind of go to different, like, concert, or that you saw it from a not from that brighter room situation, but I think the type of room does matter with the environment of the aesthetic that you're trying to come across as. But this was super, super cool. I really like this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope I was helpful in some way. This has been such a blast walking through 17 and all of the affiliates associated, like Hoshi, and I know I'm gonna get to June eventually, which is cool. I've already seen The8, so it's just really fun to see them all in different elements that they choose to pursue, especially whenever they're either as a unit or as a soloist. It's just different, it's cool, and I'm excited to keep going and keep diving into them as a group and all the units that I've said before. If you want to see more K-pop choreography analysis, more 17 analysis, or dance content analysis in general, I'll react to a bunch of different ranges of content because I feel that there's so much dance and so much artistry out there that I love to grow through, and I love to help navigate through with others who may not be exposed to these types of things in this way. So I'm definitely excited about that. I have that all over YouTube and all over Patreon, but everything that I react to, especially stuff like this with K-pop groups, I have it released on Patreon first, and sometimes for a long time, and it doesn't make its way to YouTube until 17 releases more and more stuff. So, but I'm Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye!